Hey everyone, it's Beth from the Wilton Test Kitchen, and it's buttercream flower time again. This month I have a threefer for you. I'm going to show you how to make 3 different beautiful buttercream succulents. Let's get started. The first succulent we're going to pipe, I don't really know what the biological name for it is. It looks like a blooming desert rose to me, but if you know what the name of it is, comment below. I'd love to know the real deal. Now we're going to build all of our succulents on a flower nail, and so you'll also need some squares of parchment paper cut and ready to go. For our desert rose, I'm using a tip 59. It kind of looks like a curvy raindrop. So I have my bag here, drop my tip in. I'm going to stripe the bag with color, so I've made a very, very pale pink using Aster Mauve icing color, and I've made a super pale green using juniper green. This is gonna look really, really pretty. So I'll just stripe my bag. I'm gonna try and stripe it where the narrow end of the tip is with the pink. And I don't want it to get too bulky, so just straight up the side of the bag. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of the bag with my light juniper green. I'm using a stiff consistency icing for this, by the way. I'm going to cut the tip of my bag and make sure both of my colors are down into the tip. I'm going to test a little bit of the color off the nail to make sure that they're both coming out. See, I'm pink heavy at the bottom there, and that's no problem. I want to get it so that my pink and my green are both showing. There we go. So I need to attach my parchment paper square to my flower nail with a dot of icing. And then we're going to pipe a mound about 3/8 of an inch tall. Don't worry about what this looks like. The height is the most important part. Now, holding the bag with the curved end towards you, you're going to start at the base of the flower and come up and over to cover the top all the way to the bottom. You're just making an X. Now we're going to switch angles, and we're going to hold the bag at about a 45-degree angle with the wider end of the tip facing down and pretty much touching the mound. You want to angle it sort of towards the mound. We're going to pipe this similar to a rose if you've done that. We're going to start making petals while we rotate the flower nail. You need to cover over all of the seams you've created to make sure it looks nice and tight and cupped together. Then we're just going to repeat this in another row around the edge. Make sure you clean your tip from time to time. This one gets kind of gunked up because of the shape of it, and you'll want to keep it nice and clean so your petals come out nice and clean. Using a stiff consistency icing with this really helps for your petals to have a lot of definition and for them to stand apart from each other. Now you can make these as big or as small as you'd like just by continuing to pipe your petals around. And the color gradient of the pink at the very top of the petals is so pretty and looks really, really natural. Let's do an Echeveria, also known as hen and chicks. I think that's pretty fun to say. So we're going to make this one with a tip 352, which is a very standard leaf tip, but if you wanted to make them smaller, try a 349. So I need to attach my square, and I'm using a bag that's been striped with a darker Aster Mauve color and a green that I put a little bit of leaf green icing color into to change it up. This one is super simple. It's just leaves over and over again. So we're going to hold the bag at 45, right in the center, apply pressure, and pull the bag away, and as you're pulling away, decrease your pressure. Just going to rotate slightly and do it again. All right, so we have our first row down. Now we just want to do a second row on top of that. So hold the bag at a slightly higher angle. Do the exact same thing, filling in that center there. I'm going to actually rotate my bag here so that my pink ends up on the other side so that it's not so uniform. Starting to get super filled in. Pop it off, put it straight onto your sheet tray. And last but not least, the blooming cactus, which in my opinion is the most cactusy of them all because it's what you actually think about when you think of a cactus. That's the way it looks. So I have my bags prepared. I have a tip 199, which is a really open star. Some call it a French star. I have a tip 1, and I have a tip 224, which is a drop flower with some of my dark Aster Mauve. I'm going to start by putting my square on, and this one is really pretty simple. We're going to hold the bag at a 90-degree angle, slightly above our surface, give it a good squeeze to pipe out a star, This can get a little bit ruffly and can be as tall as you want. Make these in varying heights to go around your treats. Now we're going to use our white with our tiny little tip to pipe really little dots all the way up and around the perimeter of the cactus. You know, the little prickly parts. And then finishing touch, we take tip 224 and we do a cute little star right on the top. Now you're going to pop these into the freezer for a good long time until they're really well chilled, very frozen. These are a little bigger than a lot of the flowers we've done before, so it might take a little bit more time. So these things are well chilled and they'll be super easy to take off of the paper. You can make a nice little Zen garden. I'm going to put one of each. And we have even more buttercream succulents to show you. There's a link down below to this full project where you can learn how to make even more, so check that out. Now you guys know what to do. It's comment time. Which flowers should we do next month? Leave it below and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget the thumbs up. Bye!